Hello, and welcome to an intro to Anthro with two humans. I'm human number one, John McCray.
And I'm human number two, John Lehr.
And this is the podcast where we reassess what it means to be human. And the title of this episode is A Rubbernecker's Guide to the Universe, or I'm not staring at you, I'm staring with you. Today, John, we're going to be talking about rubbernecking. Why we can't help but look when we see a car crash at the side of the road, or when we see an ambulance parked outside our neighbor's house.
This is a great topic to look at from an anthropological point of view, in my opinion.
Right. It was a lot more. First of all, I should say it comes from one of our listeners. This topic, Kelly. Kelly sent this in to us.
Yes,
and Kelly said, and I quote, "Good morning. You probably get this a lot, but as I was driving to work this morning, I was musing on voyeurism around violence and destruction. Then I thought about people slowing down to look at car crashes. Then I thought about the TV show The Sopranos and how gripping that train wreck was. Then I thought about ancient Greek tragedies." And she said, "Then I thought, if only there was an anthropologist who could explain this to me, and perhaps a comedian to keep it light." That's Kelly. I actually looked back at... She says, "I actually looked back at your past episodes and didn't see one about this very common human experience and thought it might be a fun one to explore." And then she closes, she says, "Again, you probably get hit with these kinds of random ideas from random people all the time, so feel free to ignore." And I just want to say, Kelly, if there's one thing Mr. Lehr and I don't do is ignore.
That is correct. Especially when it's a gift horse in the mouth. Don't look at a gift. Anyway. This is a great topic. As soon as you told me that you were working on it, I was just like, excellent. Because it is a very strange, interesting world we live in, and people you got to see.
Well, I just want to say to Kelly, thank you for sending this in. And then also, if this is the type of stuff you're musing on your way to work, then I want to carpool with you. You know what I mean? This is like fantastic. If this is what you're thinking about on the way into work, let's not even go into work. Let's just keep driving. Let's go on a road trip and see where it takes us. Like if you're talking about The Sopranos and Greek tragedies on the way to work, and that's fantastic. And then also, there's no. I just want to say, what a great student that she went back to look at all of the past episodes to see if we had done it before. You're like a dream student, Kelly.
She didn't want to waste the professor's time.
I know.
If you covered this in a past class, she's not gonna bother you.
I had to go back and look. Like, we haven't done that yet. I had to go back and look at it to think, because now I've reached a point I don't remember what we've done and what we haven't done anymore.
We're up to, what is this? 60 something? 68?
68.
68.
Yeah.
Wow.
And honestly, there's sometimes I'll think of like, wow, that's a great topic. I'll see something, I'll be like, that's a great topic. We should do an episode. And then I'll go look at my notes and be like, oh yeah, we did do an episode on that. so maybe we'll come back around. After a while, after people forget, we'll come back around and do follow-ups. We'll do follow-ups.
All right. Now that I know you're forgetting stuff like that, I'm gonna, I'm gonna back you up and check you. I'm gonna check things out for you.
Yeah, please.
Make sure.
Please.
Now I've got to check your work.
We have next week is an episode coming up on memory. So maybe that's why it's brought up. Of memory. So that's coming up.
Excellent.
But before we begin,
that's a deep tease you're doing right there.
Is it?
Teasing down the road, yes.
I don't know. I
love it. I love it.
We usually have like 3 or 4 shows in the works.
And when he says we, he means him. He does all of the work. All of it.
You just have to find a place where you can sit down for undisturbed for an hour somewhere.
Yes.
So John, before we begin, I don't want to step on any toes. I just want to ask, are you a rubbernecker or a gawker or a gaper?
Absolutely. I love people watching in general, but if there's I don't look in people's, like, I'm not out in a bush looking through people's windows, but no, I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in people operating in their private space. I'm interested in people in the public space. If you're in the public space, and that includes your car, I'm gonna check out what you're up to. I just love it. As I think I've said, my favorite place on the face of the earth is the Las Vegas airport. It's one of the if I could go there, I do go there quite a bit. I come through. But it's just so great because there's all these great characters, people who have won, people who have lost, people who are coming in, all of the performers and dancers, and it's just great. It's just great.
Sorrowful. Talk about a Greek tragedy.
Yes.
You look at the whole city of Las Vegas, I think, down by the Strip, is like just raw emotion. Raw emotion.
Yes. It's us. It's the truth, really. It's the truth of us. We don't like it, but it is all there, all laid out.
I try not to rubberneck out on the road because honestly, in Albuquerque, there are so many accidents every day.
Why?
That just the way people drive is crazy.
What's in the water out there? Is everybody drunk? Like, what's going on?
I think that might be part of it, people being drunk, but there's so many accidents. If you slow down to look at every single one of them, you would never get anywhere.
So you're not looking at them for time restrictions. You've got to get to work.
Right.
If you rubbernecked every accident, you'd be late to work.
Right.
Jesus.
You have to triage. There's so many accidents here. You have to prioritize the accidents.
Albuquerque needs to get it in gear here. Well, soon we're all going to have driverless cars. And by the way, I'm seeing a lot of them in LA. A lot. Like accidents? I saw 4 in a row. No, driverless cars.
I know, but I mean, do they get in accidents or
no. Here's the thing, and that people, are all like, "Oh, I'll never get in a driverless car. It's too dangerous." I'm like, have you looked at the statistics? We're not that good at driving.
Yeah.
Let's turn it over to the robots.
It's a win-win. We could use them. I've never seen a place where, especially accidents where people are driving down the wrong side of the highway, for example, happens a lot here. And they always, they have those like numerous signs that say like "Don't enter, wrong way." Yeah. and you always, when you see them, you're like, well, who would
you get on there?
Yeah, how would people do that? And the thing is, people do, and those signs don't work. And there's like all the time, like people.
We've lost our permission to drive. It's being revoked by the robots, and you know what? I welcome it. Because everybody in LA is on their phone in the car. Every single person. And then after 10 o'clock, everybody's on their phone and buzzed. So it's just a free-for-all out here. Nobody's looking at anything. Nobody.
Yeah, you should have it at that point. You should have.
We've lost we've lost our right.
But another reason why I don't slow down and look is that, like many people, I like to think that I'm different.
Right. That's built into your brainstem.
That I'm more refined. I have more refined tastes, and that I don't go for all these common curiosities out the side of the road. And as an anthropologist, I know that that's not true. And that, having been in therapy, I know definitely that that's not true.
You have enough self-awareness to know that your thinker is thinking bullshit.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait, remember in Life of Brian, Monty Python's Life of Brian, there's that scene where Brian says, like, he yells out to the crowd, like, you're all individuals. And they all yell back, we're all individuals. And then one guy's like, I'm not. But I think
Monty Python's been on my stream lately. I've been getting a lot of Monty Python. Somehow I must have thumbed up one, so I'm getting a lot of it. It's been great.
I'll try to post some of that stuff.
It's just
so funny.
Well, that's all we did in high school. You and me.
I know.
You and me and Frank and Jeff would just get high and watch Monty Python.
And millions of other other high school students.
Yeah.
And I think the saying in the social sciences is that if you look at one person, you can't tell what that one person is going to do because they have, emotion and freedom of choice and mental illness, obviously. Mm-hmm. But if you look at enough people, then you get a pretty good idea of what most people will do in a certain situation.
Yes.
And that's why we have like market research who, they go in and they analyze every single thing, that we do.
And control us. That's what Vegas does. When you walk into Vegas, I know when I walk through a casino that a whole bunch of people, a whole lot smarter than me, are controlling my every action. I'm at this craps table because I fall into the demo that leads to this craps table. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you just it's like a log ride. You just like drop the oars to the side and just let you see where it takes you because they know where you're going.
Don't paddle against the stream. Enjoy the ride.
But it's the same in a grocery store, though, too. The moment you walk in, you are being channeled through that store to spend money.
From the music to the air conditioning to the amount of oxygen. They pump oxygen into casinos to give you that kind of, it's on.
I would say it would probably, I have more, I don't know. It would probably be harder for a grocery store because a grocery store, at least a casino, people are kind of buzzed,
Right.
It kind of makes it easy.
Right.
I mean,
but a grocery store is all about business. Let's get down to it. Let's feed your gullet.
Let's get you to buy something. So
I was watching one of those World War II documentaries, and they were talking about how everybody all the Nazi soldiers were all on meth.
Oh,
they were all on these uppers, and it was meth. It was a cousin to meth. So no wonder they fought so. I mean, they were just crazed.
Yeah.
Can you imagine an entire army on meth?
And just like pilots, everybody.
Oh my God! And them just coming over the hill. Jesus. Got a cigarette?
Yeah. But I actually came across a 2012 article titled "Forget Milk and Eggs. Supermarkets are having a fire sale on data about you."
Whoa.
And in the article, John Keegan, a journalist, says that some of the things that supermarkets track on you is your personal information from your loyalty card.
Right.
Your purchase history.
Yes.
Your physical location in the store.
Whoa.
Your financial payment information.
Mm-hmm.
And your behavioral inferences about what you are going to do.
Okay, I'm fine with all of that. I have no problem. You know why? Because when I put that card in the scanner, it takes I sometimes save up to $20. You can have my location.
Just sucking information out of you. Like if you can see the graphic.
Take it. If it's so goddamn important to you, take it.
I know. But it's funny that, people always talk about the deep state. Like people are worried about the deep state and everything. Yeah. And it's like, it's the supermarket is taking all your information and spying on
it's the corporations. They're the ones. People are upset about the wrong people.
Yeah. And you're giving that away freely, like, hey, look at
no,
look
not
at this.
Free. Not free. I get like 50 cents off of each Hormel chili I buy.
What was the Bob Seger song? Remember, I'm not a number. Remember that he says it's like, I'm not a number. Yeah,
yes, you
I
are.
feel like a number. I'm not a number.
You're not a number. You're a number. A number with some letters all mixed in randomly with some zap dingbats. That's what you are.
But I'm kind of that way. I hate that. Drives me crazy, feeling like I'm just being led along by the nose throughout life. And so I try to rebel. And one of the ways that I rebel is, for example, if I'm on a flight and they come around offer, I try to do things that not everybody's doing. So when they come through with all the pretzels and everything, I'll refuse the pretzel.
What?
Yeah.
You're cutting your nose off to spite your own face.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say it.
You need it. You need those pretzels.
No, but it's to me, it's just such a, like, you've spent so much money for that flight, and then they come down with just like a little, like a plastic cup full of soda and suppress. So I'm just like, out of principle, I'll be like, no, thank you. And they're always shocked. Like the people in my row are shocked. Even my wife is shocked.
Hey, did you see that guy in 28C? He refused the pretzels, but it's not that he refused them. It's the way he refused them.
Like, no.
Yeah. You're not doing that to me. What do you think of that, Karen? I don't know. He's a nice guy.
Like, I'll push their hand away because they'll usually say something like, well, I'll just leave them here in case you want them later.
Yeah, they're being kind. Like, Jesus, I'm the exact opposite. I do whatever they tell me to do. I'm a robot on those things. I'm cargo. Just get me whatever it takes. Get me from here to there.
They should do it like those Japanese hotels. For somebody like you could just have like cubby holes in the back.
Totally. Yeah, just put me in a thing with maybe a tube to shit in, pee in. Yeah, absolutely.
I could really stuck. That may be next. They're already packing those flights.
Well, they're going to email us soon. We'll be able to email ourselves places. That's what's going to happen.
It's the same way with, how about Costco? When you go to Costco, do you go for the freebies?
I don't go to Costco. I don't have a membership. I should do it. God, why do I not have one?
It seems
everybody
like
I know has one, but I just see myself buying 5-gallon things of peanut butter,
Right. But that seems like something you would do. Like that peanut butter would be around for years.
I always have peanut butter on hand. I get it at Trader Joe's. I get the creamy. There was a period in my life similar to you and the peanuts on the plane.
Yeah.
Where I was just like, screw it. I'm getting the stirred, creamy peanut butter. I'm not getting the organic crap with the oil on top. I'm done with that.
Oh,
I'm going to live life.
There's nothing more shocking than undoing a peanut butter and seeing that layer of oil out there.
Oh, yeah. And then you have to stir it up. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pay people to stir my peanut butter and then put some chemicals in there to keep it stirred up.
Yeah. You're not a number. You're not a number.
Well, I am. I'm a series of numbers with letters and zap dingbats.
The other thing is, if you go to a national park, the same thing will happen, that you will see people slowing down to look at something. And if people see one person slow down, then everybody slows down to look at what it is.
It's my favorite. That kind of behavior. I live for that behavior. I love it when somebody looks up, you're on a city street and somebody looks up and then other people stop and like, what's he looking at? I love that. I love all that stuff. Like when a plane lands, I think, with all due respect, I think you know almost everything you need to know, anthropologically speaking, about the human race from an exit from an airplane.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. The people who cut to get 2 feet ahead.
Yeah.
The people who get, it's fantastic. Every time it delivers for me. I just can't believe it. I'm just fascinated.
stand up immediately, get their bag down, and then just stand there for 15 minutes.
Yeah, and then somebody trying to get 2 feet. I love the people who try to cut so they get one notch in front of you. It's incredible. It's incredible.
But coming back to national park, I'm the same way in a national park in that if I see a bunch of people pulled over, looking at like a moose or something, I'll be the same way of like I'll make a big point of the fact that I have to get through.
Professor. All right, it's time. When was the last time you checked in with your therapist? Because I think you're punishing yourself.
Yeah.
You should enjoy that. You should enjoy the moose. You deserve the moose.
I'm like flashing my lights, like, please, I gotta get through.
I gotta get through. I gotta get to Old Faithful.
I gotta get back to the hotel.
Well, that is how you really feel. I know that because you're like me in that way. Let's just get through the vacation.
Yeah.
I just want to get home.
I just want it quiet. I want the curtains drawn. I want
someplace to put my toothbrush.
Yeah. Nothing on, all the lights down.
Well, maybe you're right. Right.
We've talked about it before. It's sort of the same way with street performers. And I was wondering if you could talk about that again.
Yes. Well, 30 some odd years ago, I was, it was like 38 years ago. I was in college and we used to go I can juggle, and I got very good. I got the reason I got to be a good juggler is because I auditioned for the Renaissance Festival, and they basically paid me to learn how to juggle. I was just there all day with jugglers learning how to juggle, so I can pass clubs, I can pass fire, like I'm good. But I found 2 jugglers who were better than me, much better. But they couldn't they couldn't do the talk to the audience, so that was really my job. But the whole thing was you would carefully set up your area, and put each piece of equipment in a certain pattern on the tarmac or on the the sidewalk in front of you, so that people would be like, they'd stop and be like, "What's he doing?" And that's all you needed. You get enough people to stop. What are they doing? Why is he laying it out like that? There was no rhyme or reason to putting these clubs over here or that over here. And then I would say like, I would yell stuff out. Something's going on over here. Stuff like that. Worked like a charm. Then the actual show was only like 10 minutes long because we'd want to turn them, like turning tables.
Yeah.
So you do the show, get the money, get them out of the way, and then wait for the next group to come in. God, I made a lot of money doing that.
I know. That's but the idea was you get again like a moose or something. You get like what's stopping.
Yes.
Everybody else, what's he looking at? They want to go over.
You're absolutely right. And then I get a kid just to hold a club. A little cute kid, because that would hold his family. Now you've got 3 people there, or 4 or whatever.
And they're like, what's that group over there looking at?
Yeah, and the kid's not going to give that up. He's been asked to be a part of the show,
Yeah.
Oh, God, it was great. We had it was a machine. It was a machine.
That's brilliant.
Maybe I should go back to that business.
It's tax-free. Tax-free. You can do it.
I don't know if my sciatica would deal with it. It's hard. It's a hard living, man.
We'll have to do a live show sometime where you are juggling, because I don't think people realize how good you really are.
I know. Okay. I'm really good, right?
I
can knock a cigarette out of your mouth.
Yeah. Or you knock your head away from somebody's head away from the cigarette, I think. It's all the same. It's all the same. But no, you're like really good.
I know. I can. Yeah, we used to pass between the 3 of us 11 clubs. Ooh. And 9 is fairly simple, but going from 9 to 11 is like a geometric jump. It's just like. It's so hard to fit those other 2 clubs in.
Wow. All right, we'll do that. We'll do that at the Yeti Love convention.
Yeah.
We'll have you.
I'm in touch with my old juggling partners, Michael and Miles. If you're listening, hello.
Okay.
They're the good ones who can really juggle. Those 2, because I'd throw whatever at them, and they catch it every time.
Really?
Yeah. They're amazing.
So anyway, in doing research for this week's episode, I came across another article from 2012. I don't know what was going on in 2012, but it seems like there were a lot of books and a lot of articles coming out about people looking at other people, or why we look at other people.
That's so strange. If you were saying it was 2112, I'd be like, I know why you're getting. We are the priests of the temples of Syrinx.
Yeah.
That's some Rush, everybody, from the album 2112.
He's been waiting any way to work in some Rush. God, I just sit back. Album. I just sit back and let you.
Did you have that album?
No, I didn't.
It was a concept album about the future, where music was outlawed.
But anyway, in this article, it's from National Geographic, and it's by Ed Yong, and it's called "What Are You Looking At? People Follow Each Other's Gazes, but Without a Tipping Point." And the article discusses research that was done by some scientists from Princeton University.
Oh, boy.
And what they did was and this is what you were talking about, they put a camera on a roof on a busy street, and then they had 5 actors stand on the street looking up at the camera.
Listen, that's not actors. All right. They didn't hire 5 actors.
Yeah.
They got 5 of their friends.
Right.
It doesn't take any acting to look up at a little camera on a building.
Yeah, I don't think they were like paying them like guild scale.
Yeah, they weren't SAG. They were not SAG.
But anyway, they would use the camera to keep an eye on like how people would look when they came. What you were talking about, like if a bunch of people on the street are looking up.
Yeah. I love these kinds of experiments, like the classic one where a guy fakes a heart attack and then nobody helps him. You know that one in New York?
Yeah. I think did I tell you about? I saw a guy one time. I think I mentioned it. A guy have a heart attack in a play one time in college. Yeah,
I think you did mention that. Yeah. What happened?
Yeah. Well, they took him out on a gurney. Jesus. You know, somebody who was with him like ran to get somebody, and then afterwards they tried to start the show again.
Jesus!
After you had just seen this guy die of a heart attack.
Oh my God, he died.
Yeah, I mean, what it looked like as they were hauling him out, he wasn't moving or anything,
and they weren't pushing it real fast.
They stopped to see if there was any available seats.
My dad was my dad had my dad was like you. He had all these crazy jobs. Yeah. He was an ambulance driver in El Dorado, Kansas for like a summer. He was just the driver. Yeah. And they went to go on a call, and they got the guy into the back, and the paramedics got in the back and closed the thing. And my dad drove like hell to the hospital. And he gets there and he opens up the back, and the 2 paramedics, their hair's like messed up, and they're like, "What are you doing? He was dead." Oh, no. So my dad he didn't know. He's just trying to help.
That's great.
Because these are the old ambulances, that were white and long, like hearses.
Yeah.
You know, those big ones.
And they were just flying around in the back with the dead body.
The body flopping on him.
But anyway, what the Princeton researchers found was that they did confirm that people have a natural tendency to look where others are looking, but it's weaker than what we think. In other words, we don't blindly look up at other people.
Oh.
And they found that, quote, on average, 27% of the passersby looked in the same direction as the actors. Mm-hmm. Women and men were equally likely to look up, but men did so for longer.
Really? Because we're dumber. It takes us longer to realize there's nothing up there. Yeah. What's everybody looking at? No, really. Right. What are they?
No, there's got to be something.
If I turn my head, meanwhile the women are like, there's nothing up there.
I know. We've already moved on. That's an experiment. It's obviously an experiment.
But do they factor in the fact that half of these people may be busy? And half of them may not,
Yeah. But what they did is they found out that people who were walking slowly were more likely to look up.
Of course, because they've got nothing to do.
Yeah.
You ever been in a city walking around where you've got nothing to do? You've got no plans, no appointments, no nothing. That's an amazing feeling. I was like that in New York City with a snowfall. It was snowing, so gorgeous. All these people pissed and trying to get home and everything. And I was just like, this is
place
great.
To be.
No, I got nothing.
The other thing they found was that when people were walking up from behind the actors, they were more likely to look up than they were if they were walking towards the actors. So it's something about being behind our gaze. They say our gaze direction flows more effectively behind us than in front of us.
Interesting. There's got to be a way to monetize that. You know,
I know.
If we just thought about it.
Yeah. How do you get people how do we sell more like soda at the grocery store with that or something?
Well, if you're going to wear a sandwich board advertising something, you want to make sure it's on your back.
Right. Because people they're more likely, I think it's just, they don't want to feel stupid or something. You know what I mean?
Also, we're all checking out each other's butts all the time. You know, there's that.
You cut out the hole in your sandwich board.
Yeah, some assless sandwich board chaps.
That's a good potato idea. Bread.
Yeah, you sell a hot dog. Your buns are the buns, and then you paint in the hot dog.
That's a great idea. The second experiment they did is that they hired a couple actors to go into on the street or in a train station.
Okay.
And then they had them act normally, or they had them act kind of suspiciously. Okay.
Oh my God. That is an actor. Now you've got actors.
Right. Right.
Now you're talking.
And Ian Cousin, who was one of the researchers on the project, said that in the street, passersby of both sexes looked at the suspicious individuals more often than the natural ones. So you kind of see that, hey, something's
you
pick up.
Well, what were they doing? I'd like to know what they were doing. Because suspicious is a pretty broad term. Right. You know what I mean?
Right. But they say when they got into the station where the crowd was denser, things were a little bit different. Oh. And Cousins says that, quote, men actually avert their gaze from suspicious individuals, whereas women tend to behave like they did out in the street, meaning that they were still kind of checking out what was going on.
Makes total sense. Because men are, they're terrified deep down and don't want any trouble. But they just want to get away, whereas women need to know the situation. They're smarter. I think, in that way.
And the closer that the suspicious acting people came to people, the more those people looked away.
Right. Yes. That makes total sense. You don't want to crazy. That happens to me every day in LA.
You don't want to make eye contact.
Painted orange, walking right at me. Yeah. I'm not going to look him in the eye. I don't want to have any interaction with that guy. I mean, I'm glad that he exists, and that's one of the reasons I love LA, but I don't want to talk to him.
You don't want to engage. You don't want to engage.
No, it's not going to help me in any way.
So anyway, what Cousins says is that there is not nearly as strong copying behavior as people previously thought. And he adds that while the tendency to look where someone else is looking may serve an adaptive function,
right,
in terms of directing people to important information,
right,
it is not so strong that individuals get drawn into blindly copying, like we talked about.
Well, that's a nice little testament for all of us,
right?
We're not as much of robots as we think we are, maybe.
Way to go, Homo sapiens.
Yeah. That's millions of years of evolution have gotten us that. We don't look where somebody else is looking necessarily. That's
often.
That's all we've got to show for. That and driverless cars. That's it. That's all we did.
We still do. It's just we just don't do it as strongly as what other species do. And he said, and I think what he is probably talking about, he's talking about in terms of biological evolution, like having a function or advantage, meaning that what would be the adaptive advantage if we all looked in the same direction or could communicate by looking in the same direction.
That's interesting.
And the thing is, it could communicate, important information, like if there was a cliff, or maybe if a bear was coming or something like that.
If there's a three-toed sloth the size of a truck coming eating somebody, and everybody's looking at it
very slowly coming.
Yeah, very slowly. But you know those things, those sloths that are like at the tar pits that they found. My God, those things are huge. Huge.
Just those like, was it? It's just like one talon or something on each one. Yeah.
But they're literally the size of a U-Haul. It's so fascinating.
We'd all be looking at that. Like,
yeah, we would.
But Ed Yong, he concluded at the end of all this experiment, he said the experiment showed that the eyes of a crowd can provide valuable information, even without an obvious tipping point. And the tipping point they mean is when everybody gets bored and suddenly starts walking away. He says, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, have you ever been looking around and accidentally made eye contact with a stranger?
Ooh, yeah.
And it's terrifying for both parties. It's like, shit, why did we look at each other? God damn it. How did that happen?
The weirdest one I ever had was in LA, and I had gone down to the Sears down in Santa Monica off of 3rd Street Promenade.
Oh.
And I was up looking at cheap mattresses. It was when I was living in that garage room in Santa Monica. Or no, we were in Venice at that point.
Yeah, we were in Venice.
But I was looking at cheap mattresses. I just needed to get like a twin mattress.
Yeah.
And there was another guy in there, like looking at mattresses too. We were the only ones in the mattress department at Sears. And we kept, I could tell that we were trying not to be near one another.
Yeah. Let's just, each of us go about our business.
Yeah. Yeah. And I finally look up and we make eye contact.
Oh.
It was Elliot Gould. It was
what?
It was Elliot Gould, the actor.
The movie star from the 1970s?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And we kind of like locked eyes, and then we're like, oh my God, like, we're both looking at cheap mattresses. And
it's so weird. I wonder what brought Elliot Gould to the mattress department at Sears that day.
I don't know. But it was one like, it was almost like being in a porn store. You know what I mean? Where nobody's trying to look up at each other. You just want to get your magazine and get out of there, you know?
Oh, that's the worst. Like when you're jacking off and the guy looks over and you look at each other in the eye. It happens so often.
Yeah.
Or like when you're trying butt plugs out, in the dressing room.
Yeah. Somebody opens the door, you make eye contact.
Somebody opens the door. It always happens. It never fails.
You should have locked it. It's on you.
It's on you.
But it should have put the latch on. But.
That's right. Those quarter peep shows where the panel opens up.
Somebody's in here. Somebody's in here.
Looking at the guy across the way. Oh, it's the worst.
So, Ed Yong says, as an onlooker, it is very hard to spot suspicious individuals in crowds because people behave in varied ways.
Okay.
But people within the crowd are naturally tuned to spot irregular activities. Through the collective direction of our eyes, they provide information about unusual activity. So in other words, he says the eyes of a crowd are almost like a sensor array.
Yes.
Meaning, though, even though we personally won't see it, through all of us looking with our eyes, we'll be able to pick up.
But here's the problem. What if it all starts with one dipshit?
Yeah.
And he looks, and then somebody else looks, and now we've got our sensor array engaged, but it's all because of some dipshit looking at nothing.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you've got a 45-minute traffic jam because of that dude.
Yeah, just everybody locked on. Once all that sensor array gets locked on.
Just enough to slow it down.
Yeah. I was thinking that, again, about adaptive evolutionary advantages. I don't think maybe for us now as humans, it's as important as being able, all of us, to look at a woolly mammoth or something like that.
Right.
But I think there might still be like a social advantage if we're able to look at something, meaning that our status as in our groups, whether it be on social media
that explains you not looking. Your status is connected to the not looking.
Right. Exactly.
I understand that now. Okay. Yeah. I respect that. That.
So if that's the case, being able to tell where everyone else is looking and being able to tell if what they're looking at is really important or not important.
That's the key piece of information.
right. You have to,
is this important? I have to get through all of you to find out, oh, Jesus. It's a fender bender.
But that may give us an adaptive advantage socially. Again, it's not biologically, but socially, it will increase our status if we could look at it and then be able to recognize that that's something I need to post about. That's something I need to recognize and see.
Okay.
And if that's, and in that case, it may be by improving our status or our prestige, would socially improve our chance of mating and reproduction.
And our, like you said, that specialness that we all need to feel about ourselves in order to keep ourselves alive. Right. It reinforces that.
And in an article titled 25 Most Influential Creators of 2024, Rolling Stone magazine asked the question, what does it mean to have influence? It's not just about who's getting sponsorships. That's good for us.
So when you say creators, you're talking about social media creators.
Social media creators.
Oh, that's cool.
And my idea is that social media creators, that's basically what they're trying to do. They're trying to get us all to look in the same direction that they're looking in.
Yep.
And that creates a social function for all of us, and that we all get some sort of prestige out of.
And I bet we also feel, wouldn't we also feel like sort of a tribal, like hey, we're all interested in this thing.
Right.
There's I am a part of.
Right. That we're part of, we're distinct, we're different because we're all looking over here when everybody else is looking in the other direction. So,
yeah, we're the group that finds Monty Python hilarious.
Right. Right.
When I married my wife, I found out early on that she had never seen Monty Python. Nothing.
Really?
It scared me. And she'd never seen Spinal Tap.
Really?
That one shocked me. I was just like, oh, Jesus. What have I done?
Yeah. I actually, Mary is like, a lot of women aren't really into Monty Python.
Right. Because it's so ridiculous. Yeah. I get that.
But Mary's into Monty Python and also into Spinal Tap.
Mary is a very special person, and thank God for her, really.
Yeah.
As one of your oldest friend, maybe your oldest, I don't know. I'm in there.
Yeah.
Thank God for her. I remember when it happened too. I remember when you started to date her and you knew right away you liked her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
You never know. You just don't force it. Don't force it. Don't have to force it.
Just go take the paddles out of the stream and
we'll see what
let it guide you to the craps table.
All right. So all of this is we've been talking about just why people look in the same direction as other people. But this doesn't really answer Kelly's question, which was why people are compelled to look at accidents.
Yes, violence or gore. Or,
the misfortune of others.
I mean, talk about the Indianapolis 500. I mean, that whole sport is based on waiting for somebody to crash.
Yeah. Come flying up into the crowd.
Right. Ooh, and killing some other people. And
bring out a yellow flag and then, slow down for a couple laps and minutes, then right back.
Right. Or football when somebody's leg is bent at a right angle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right. Oh, man, that's horrible. Okay, get him off and let's keep going.
Yeah. And then people clap. They clap when they get up.
He stands up and walks on a wet noodle that's now his leg.
That's the worst thing. Like when they're like taking them off and they can't move. It's like everybody feels they don't know what else to do, I guess. That you have to clap.
Yeah.
And then you still have to even though you can't, you got to be able to give a thumbs up or something.
The hurt guy has to get a thumbs up. Yeah. man. And it's not a thumbs up. Things are not okay.
Right.
They're not. He just broke his spine in 4 places.
Ever happened in a show? You ever have something like that? Somebody go down in a show and you have to keep...
Susan just recently pulled her hamstring.
Oh, yeah. Is that
doing cartwheels. We were in... where were we? We were in Bratislava, I think. And she did a cartwheel. She's 60 years old. And, things, cartwheel isn't like it used to be.
Right,
she was a cheerleader growing up. But she did it. But she didn't feel it till after. Then afterwards, she was like, oh, my God. Like, she was really injured.
I had my ex-wife was in a show one time, and they had like a blackout, and one of the actors walked into a piece of the set and cut his nose. And so it was just like gushing, and then the lights come right back up. And it's like the actor was just like gushing blood and it, like still trying to do the scene like, well, Lord Algernon.
Holy crap. Yeah. What that idiot running into a set piece. He didn't pay attention to tech rehearsals.
I know.
Idiot.
She said it was just one of those, there's always a performance where everything goes off the rails. Yeah. Like everything, no matter how much you rehearse, everything goes wrong on like one performance. Right.
But there's still a square of glow tape stapled to that thing,
But anyway, as I was getting back to Kelly's question, as I was reading and researching this week, I kept coming across 3 different psychological and social processes that may shed some light on why we slow down and rubberneck when we pass a wreck.
We're all ears, Professor McCray.
Those processes are negativity bias, Schadenfreude, and morbid curiosity.
Okay, I understand that one. The last one I get. But the first 2, you got some splaining to do.
Yeah, so we're going to look at all 3 of those individually. Okay. And I think, although none of them like explain why we rubberneck exactly, I think they all play a role in why we rubberneck.
Excellent.
And the first one is negativity bias. And in the journal article, Looking at the Sunny Side of Life, Michael Kisley and others say that the negativity bias refers to the tendency for humans to pay more attention to negative than to positive information.
Well, that's what's got us into all this trouble. We created Facebook and now we're all screwed.
Yeah.
We're so smart. So smart. We built a prison of our own making, a torture chamber of our own making.
And the reason, you see it in social media too, is that usually the negative information always, we just got through with this election. And of course, what do like political ads always
negative
highlight the negative? Because we are, as a species, we look for more
Nobody
the negative
wants
information.
To know why you should vote for me. They want to know why you shouldn't vote for me.
Right. And in the article, What is the Negativity Bias? Kendra Cherry says that research has shown that across a wide array of psychological events, people tend to focus more on the negative as they try to make sense of the world.
It makes sense. I mean, evolutionarily speaking, of course you're going to pay more attention to stuff that's could possibly cause you danger or discomfort or whatever,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The good stuff. I had a friend of mine, we always say like, we never say like, wow, things are going great.
Yeah.
It's
right.
Rarely, we'll be like, how's it going? It's usually, well, pretty good, but that's like the best you can hope for.
Yeah. And in the article, The Science Behind Why We Can't Look Away from Tragedy, the journalist Danielle Page quotes Dr. John Mayer, who's a clinical psychologist.
John Mayer, not the guitarist, right?
Not the guitarist.
Okay, thank God.
I had to look it up. I was like, I wonder if he's one of those like...
I'm not a fan of Mayer. And the dead should get rid of him. I'm sorry.
This is probably this guy. It's this clinical psychologist. Is like he's one of those where like every time like
not that Mayer.
Yeah.
No.
But he says when we see destruction, it triggers our survival instinct.
Yeah, right.
And he says a disaster enters into our awareness, and this can be from a live source, such as driving by a traffic accident, or from watching a news report about a hurricane or a plane crash. And he goes, what this does is it triggers our amygdala, and then it makes us look at our fight or flight response.
Yeah, that amygdala, that's where the problems are, down in there.
But it's when we drive by and we look at it, our first thought is he says it acts as a preventive mechanism to give us information on the dangers and whether or not to avoid them or to flee from them.
Right. Well, isn't avoiding them fleeing? Or you avoiding is like fleeing before you even get there.
Right. Right. Exactly. Like instead of like, I'm going to drive around it, or you're trying to get information about the situation. That's one of the things.
Well, if everybody was like you and just drove on, we'd all be in a lot. We'd get there quicker.
Yeah.
See, that's what the automatic cars are going to do. They won't stop.
Yeah.
They'll just keep going.
You'll be trying to rubberneck and it'll just be driving. They'll be like so efficient.
Slow down. Yeah. No, we are getting you to work now.
Even if they're in an accident, there'll be other automatic cars that just come out and just shove them off the road.
That's right. That's right. Life will be better.
Yeah. No empathy, no emotion. Just get them off the road.
Just get me to the casino.
And again, Kendra Cherry says our tendency to pay more attention to bad things and overlook good things is likely a result of evolution.
Yeah. Well, that's what I just said.
I know.
I should be given a credit on that.
Write an article.
Mayor. Oh, wait. Are we still talking Mayor? We're on to the next one now.
Well, she's the one that was quoting Mayor. No, Daniel Page was quoting Mayor.
Okay.
So she says, Kendra Cherry says, earlier in human history, paying attention to bad, dangerous, and negative threats in the world was literally a matter of life or death.
Right.
And those who were more attuned to danger and who paid more attention to the bad things around them were more likely to survive.
It makes total sense.
Right.
If Glog is chopping people's heads off over by the big rock, don't go over there. Go the other way.
And then she says those people were more likely to pass down the genes that would avoid or be aware of like something like, oh my God, I don't think we should do that, So
and now we're all jittery and need to be medicated because we got nothing to be afraid of.
Well, that's one of the reasons. But I'm also like, that kind of means that we descended from the people who were kind of wanted to stay in the cave, be like, I don't think we should.
I'm not going out there. We got all the assholes. We descended from all the the worrywarts. Jesus.
Right. So in other words, we're the ones, instead of being the bold, the bold members of our species who went out and tried to like wrestle with a tiger or something, we're actually, what we have left is just...
Except for the mutants who don't have that. And then they're the ones who make billions of dollars because they risk everything.
Right. So in other words, what we're talking about with negativity bias as a possible explanation for rubbernecking is that as you go by an accident, our first order of business is to try to determine, is there an immediate threat to me? That's what you're looking at.
Absolutely.
And then once you've determined that there is no immediate threat to you, then you can start looking at the accident to try to figure out what you would have done differently, what you can take.
You make it a learning moment, a teaching moment.
A
teaching moment.
And so then so immediately you're like, is this a threat? Secondly, what would I have done differently? How can I learn? Again, looking at the negative, the negative factor of the accident to figure out what would I do differently.
They made a mistake. Clearly, I don't want to make that mistake.
Dr. Mayer also says that looking at disasters can also stimulate our empathy, and we are programmed as humans to be empathetic, which is part of us.
For the most part. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of non-empathetic people. Non-empathetic? Unempathetic?
Unempathetic.
Okay. Anti-empathetic. I mean, I see a lot of that around.
Yeah, I was wondering, as you drive by rubbernecking, I don't know if there's much empathy in my mind, like, that's going to be hard.
Really? I feel like sick to my stomach. I hope they're okay. I go to, I had a thing that happened once. We were in San Francisco. It was, we were with another couple and we were all in the car. I was driving and we were we parked? No, we came around. No, we were parked. We were about to get in the car. And I think we had all gotten in the car. And out of nowhere, coming around the corner, this car comes screeching around, gets up on two wheels, and flips over on its side. And it's like 2 a.m. There's nobody there. And the other 3 people in the car did nothing. And I was like, I opened the door to get out because I wanted to check on the guy. I guess that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And I walk to the car. It's silent. It's silent. One wheel is still spinning, just like in the movies. No. And it was the scariest thing ever. And I got to the window and I just heard, and it was just so, oh my God. But it turned out he was okay. He was drunk.
Yeah.
And the police came and he was fine. But oh my God.
Did you stay there with him or did you?
Oh, yeah. Well, we did. Yeah. We called. Yeah, we had. I mean, yeah. We had to make sure somebody helped this guy.
I'm so glad you said that. That would have been an awkward transition.
Oh, we left. We had reservations.
We heard him gurgling. It was fine.
That was freaky.
Yeah.
Freaky.
Accidents are so jarring.
Oh.
They're just so violent and jarring, and the sound and afterwards you see, like, out at the side of the road, you see people at their most vulnerable and the worst. You know what I mean? It's just, as you drive by, I don't know. I want to feel
somebody
empathy.
Screaming at the other one, and yeah.
Okay, so now we're moving on to the second psychological or social process, and that's Schadenfreude.
Mm-hmm.
And in
Heard
the
of
book,
it? Forgot what it means.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go. In the book, The Joy of Pain, Schadenfreude and the Dark Side of Human Nature. Richard Smith says that the word Schadenfreude comes from 2 German words, Schaden, meaning harm, and Freude, meaning joy.
Okay. So, the Germans are perfect for this. You know what I mean? That's that's right up their alley.
Right. So Schadenfreude is the pleasure derived from another person's misfortune.
Oh, God.
Okay. And Smith says that, we're all ashamed to admit it, but we all experience Schadenfreude for different reasons or at different times.
Thank God that's not me. That kind of thing.
Yeah. Or, and there's a couple of other different emotions that go along with Schadenfreude that include envy and a sense of justice or a sense of deservedness.
Yeah.
And so it's, when it comes to automobile accidents, I think Schadenfreude usually comes into play when we feel that the person getting in the accident deserved it.
Yeah. Like if they came speeding by you before.
Right.
And then you, see?
Yeah. Or like, they're speeding or they get pulled over by a cop later on and you drive by them later like,
best feeling
serves
ever.
You right.
Yeah.
And, as we talked about in our last episode about money, or it wasn't the last episode, but a couple episodes ago when we talked about money, we talked about wealth, power, prestige, and their effect on social status. Again, one of the sources of Schadenfreude is when the misfortune that the other person experiences lowers their social status relative to our own.
So look at that rich person getting pulled over, getting in an accident.
Right. So again, Smith says that, quote, the misfortune causes us to smile and sometimes laugh in ways that we would if we heard a good joke told at another person's or group's expense.
I mean, America's Funniest Home Videos. And 99.9% of the internet is us laughing at other people's pain.
Yeah, right, exactly. And it's one of the reasons is it's lowering their status. Again, if we're all in this we're all jockeying for this social position.
Why are we all doing that? In order to get laid?
That's
Is that why?
one of the reasons. Yeah, basically going back to try to have more power, more prestige. I don't know, for a biological reason, it would be to make us more, attractive to mate.
Yeah,
I guess
because the guy at the top gets to be the silverback, or our version of that.
Right.
I get it. Oh man, boy, is that a bummer. That was a bad evolution. Because that has really backfired.
And it's, if you think about the Schadenfreude, we hate to admit it when it happens, like people we like even, but sometimes we may feel envy for somebody, even who we're quite close to, or like a family member or a friend.
What are you trying to say? Have you laughed at my misfortunes? God.
Well, that's what they talk about. People will do. I try not to.
Wait, why are you bringing all this up? What?
Well, let me.
Was it when I chipped my tooth in your car?
Yeah, that was fun.
That was funny.
But it happens in L.A. I remember when I first went out to L.A. and I had some success and I had some development deals.
Yes, you did.
And when you go to a party, everybody is like really kind of glomming on to you. I think they see it as a business opportunity.
Yeah. Yes. But you have something they don't have.
Right. Yeah. Right. And then when that falls through, which it always will, or the series comes to an end, or you get a bad review,
right?
People will go out of their way to contact you to bring up that review.
My father-in-law, we got panned by the New York Times, and the first person who called me was my father-in-law. Hey, I'm so sorry about the review. Yeah. I hadn't read it. I don't read reviews. But boy, I could tell it was bad because he was feeling some Schadenfreude.
I know, but they do. They will come out of the woodwork. Even your people who are really close to you will come out of the woodwork to bring up that review. You know what I mean? And again, it's that Schadenfreude that they, for whatever reason, just seeing you brought down a little bit makes them happy. And what was interesting is Smith quotes the evolutionary psychologists Sarah Hill and David Buss, who say that envy may have evolved as a way of construing oneself as more deserving of scarce resources compared to rivals.
Makes sense.
And the fusing of resentment with envy is an adaptive blend. So again, if just us trying to, whether or not as we drive through the accident, if we see a rich, like a luxury car turned over on the side of the road, we might be thinking like,
hope that blows up and burns them alive. Right? Or is that just me?
That may be just you, but we'll edit that one out.
I'd like to see the four of them getting out of their car, running on fire down the highway.
But if you see somebody in a Corvette, for example, like some old guy, you'll be like, well, it serves you right for buying that, that expensive car or whatever.
But a Corvette kind of goes so far, it goes so douchey that it becomes cool. An old dude in a Corvette is like such douchiness, Yeah. It's more like the guys it's all the Teslas.
Right.
The peeps in the Teslas who are like, I have a Tesla.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not.
Well, it's kind of the same way. If you see a Tesla in an accident, you're like, that serves you right. Or
you're not getting that fixed.
Or if you drive through and you see like somebody in a jalopy, you're like, well, you shouldn't have been, there's also like a deservedness of like, you shouldn't have been driving that jalopy.
God, we're horrible creatures. We're just horrible.
Yeah.
God.
It's again, they say that, if Smith says, if I perceive the misfortune of another to be the result of that person's disposition or moral failing, then I'll probably think he deserves what he gets, and I may feel a rush of pleasure at his pain.
Oh,
but Jesus. If I perceive his misfortune to be the result of the situation, then I may conclude that he does not deserve it, and I will feel empathy and not Schadenfreude.
God, we're disgusting. You can't be empathetic to the person who caused the accident. We are incapable of that.
Right. Right.
Damn.
There's deservedness. We have to feel the deservedness.
Well, that's the whole homeless thing, is like they're homeless because they don't work hard.
Right. They deserve it.
They deserve it. Right. Jesus.
And so finally, John, we'll move on to our last possible explanation for rubbernecking for Kelly.
Okay. Awesome.
And that is morbid curiosity.
This is my fave. You want to see that leg cut off. Where's that leg?
Right.
Yeah.
And in the book, Everyone Loves a Good Train Wreck, Why We Can't Look Away, Eric Wilson, he's an English professor.
Okay.
And a writer. He's not a scientist or anything, but it's kind of like appropriate when we're talking about human emotions and human behavior to see what the artists say as well.
Yeah, we got to turn to the artists. What do they got up their sleeve?
But Wilson says he looks specifically at why we're obsessed with horror and disasters.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, everyone loves a good train wreck. We are enamored by ruin. The deeper the darkness is, the more dazzling. Our secret and ecstatic wish, let it all fall down.
That's like an extension of people throwing things off buildings, and we just like to see it smash.
Yeah.
Like Letterman did that in his early days of his morning show and stuff. And we just love it. We just love seeing stuff crash.
Fall apart.
Yeah.
And he says, quote, "To shut our eyes to corpses, to those around us now, and to the particular one that each of us will become, is to blind ourselves to an integral part of a vibrant existence." And he continues that, though we frequently ignore death or hide it in the haze of euphemism, we know in our bones this stark truth. Just as winter reveals the power of spring, closeness to death discloses our most fertile energies. We are reminded of our brief time on this earth and feel inspired to make the most of it.
Absolutely. You got it. Yeah. You've never felt more alive than after you've had a near-death experience or, Yeah. Right. It's true.
It's so that morbid curiosity would be, as you're driving through the accident, there's a bit of distance. That's one of the important things about morbid curiosity, is that you have a little distance between you and what's actually happening.
Right. You're putting up a firewall there.
Right. But as you go through, you're close to that horrific event.
Mm-hmm.
And by being close to that horrific event, it makes you feel alive as you drive through it.
Mm-hmm.
And Wilson
it's not necessarily a pleasant feeling, that feeling alive.
Right.
It's not necessarily pleasant, but you do feel invigorated. You feel heightened. And
it's in the 1700s, Edmund Burke, who was a philosopher, Wilson says he explained why we are drawn to terrible things. And he made the distinction between the beautiful and the sublime. And Wilson says that for Burke, beautiful experiences inspire pleasurable, affectionate feelings as well as serenity and languor.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that for Burke, the sublime, on the other hand, is nerve-wracking, turbulent, obscure and confusing, yet also stunning, irresistible. Sublime events inspire horror and astonishment.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And so the example would be is like, as you're standing on the edge of like the Grand Canyon, for example, and know at any moment, there's nothing stopping you from just jumping into the Grand Canyon.
Yes, that feeling it was so wild.
Yeah.
Or like when you're driving down a highway and you could just turn into the oncoming traffic.
Right. And that's the sublime, that it makes you feel more alive knowing that horrific activity or that action is right there.
It's right there. Yeah.
And Wilson then quotes Lauren Rhodes, who was the editor of Morbid Curiosity magazine. and Morbid, it's fantastic. It's no longer being printed. I looked it up to see if they were still printing it. But what Rhodes, who was the editor, she said, fascination with the unwholesomeness is ultimately life-affirming. We are more alive when we face what we can't quite understand, on edge and required to think beyond our habits. This is the value, she says, of traveling in the dark. There is always risk, but it provokes unprecedented acuteness.
Like that guy on your ex-wife's play who bumped his head. He was just letting it rip. Yeah. You know?
Just let it
Just
keep on it.
Here we go.
Algernon. Give me a kiss, Emily. Give me a kiss. And ultimately, Wilson concludes that morbid curiosity might be on one level an enduring, unusually strong attraction to information about highly unpleasant events and objects that are irrelevant to the individual's life,
i.e., politics.
Yeah. But he says it might also be compulsion toward grim happenings that are relevant toward one's life, that help one to manage dangerous fears and desires, to learn what is essential and what is not. So in other words, our gawking at this horrific event, or like if you like, oh my God, I saw the body out there on the, it might give us, it's that kind of sublime horror when we see the body out there where, oh my God, there was glass and there was blood, and that makes us feel more alive as we drive by it and gawk at it. And then he says that part of that would be that looking at that as we drive by the accident might also allow us to confront our own fears and our own anxieties about being out on the road.
Because it's an extremely dangerous place.
Right.
Anybody could cross those two lines of tape on the middle of the road and crash into you at any time. Right. Which is why we've lost our
ability to drive.
Where it's getting taken away from our licenses are all getting taken away from us.
Yeah.
My wife was where are we going to drive? We were talking about this because it's only a matter of time. She's like, where am I going to drive? Because she loves to drive. And I'm going to be like, it's going to be like horses. You can have a ranch and drive around on a track on your ranch. That's it. You're not allowed anymore. And you know what? She shouldn't be allowed. She is terrible. She's very aggressive. Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. We all got to be removed. We got to be taken off the road, people. We really do.
Just wrapping up, John, I'll talk about one like horrific event I saw one time that had no real effect on anybody around me at the time. It was in Chicago when I lived in Chicago. And as I mentioned, I worked on Michigan Avenue, 500 North Michigan Avenue. And every night after work, I would have to cross the Michigan Avenue Bridge over the Chicago River.
Cold in the winter. That is a cold walk. I have done that walk. That is brutal.
They used to tie a rope from the bus stop outside our building into our building just to keep people from being blown over. Because people would just
to the rope.
Yeah. Like you come off the bus and immediately grab it and then hold onto the rope and then work your way into the building because
Chicago's
the wind
not cold like that anymore. Now with global warming, did you know that?
Really?
It really isn't. It's not like it was when we were there. It's really changed. Yeah.
Wow. No, it was. I could sit up in my office window, and you would just watch people being blown over out on Michigan Avenue.
See, I'm enjoying it just straight out of because it's not me.
Yeah,
and they deserved it. Because they didn't get a car
down there. Look at those
and they're
jerks.
poor because it's their fault.
But I was walking. It was in the middle of winter, freezing cold, walking across the Michigan Avenue Bridge, and I happened to glance down at the river, and the Chicago police were down there with like two oars, like trying to pull a body out of the river, like frozen.
Oh my God!
And it was, it just kind of fishing him out. You know what I mean? Like a Family Guy where they with the frog or whatever, where Peter's trying to throw the frog away and it keeps slipping away. They're trying to get this body out of the river. And it looked like just a normal person. Like, like he was just wearing like a normal, parka. And it was just like somebody he had slipped and fallen in the river.
Somebody like you and me.
I know.
Just whoops. I didn't grab. You reach out to grab that rope and you just miss it.
Yeah. Or like I'm going to reach out. Oh, there goes my $1 bill. I'm going to reach for it, and then I go into the river and freeze to death. But the thing is, it was so cold that nobody was stopping to look at it. I remember walking by just looking like dead body, frozen. Keep walking. You know what I mean?
You were it was so cold. You were survival.
Right.
You know, that
better him than me, I guess.
Oh God! But it stuck with you, showing that you're not a sociopath and that you have, you know.
Right. It was awful. I mean, I just can't imagine, like, trying to imagine the circumstances.
I think we all have an experience like that. You know, all of us have seen something. I mean, horror movies are kind of a safe place for that,
right?
You know,
right?
And action movies and stuff. I remember driving Jules to school. She was in kindergarten, and a jogger ran out, and a car just took him out. And he went flying. And I remember seeing his shoe fly up in the air, and it stuck in my mind. I did get out of there because I didn't want Jules to experience any of that.
Right.
She was so young, so I did a U-turn and got the fuck out of there. There were people already running to it. But
it's amazing how you come out of your shoes. If you get hit by a car, you come out of your shoes.
Come out of your shoes, they fall off. Yeah.
Very odd.
His shoe was just sitting there in the middle of the road.
Ooh.
Oh my God.
All right. So Kelly, I hope we've answered some of your questions about rubbernecking.
Yes.
We may not be able to say exactly why we do it, but I think we could say that it's probably a combination of negativity bias, trying to learn a lesson from what it is so that we can survive a similar event.
Right.
Schadenfreude, meaning a pleasure we get from seeing others get what they deserve.
Yep.
And then morbid curiosity, that sublime feeling of being alive we get when we encounter something truly horrific.
Like Saw 3. Did you ever see Saw 3?
No.
Don't do it. Or what's the one where they're all sewn to each other's butts?
Oh, yeah, the human centipede.
Centipede.
Yeah.
I had a friend who worked on that show. He was a set decorator.
Oh, no.
And he told me a story where they told him to bring a piece of like a table in to the scene, and they said, don't look at the actors. And of course this is right in line with what we're talking about. So of course he did, and they're all just sitting in a line waiting to shoot the human centipede.
Oh my
scene.
God.
Oh, he was just like totally freaked out.
Were there name actors in that?
No. He was just picking up a day of work, you know.
Yeah, no, I was trying to think of like if you'd have to go into audition, like they're reading. Okay, get down on your hands and knees.
I'm gonna place my anus in front of you. Jesus.
Line. Can I get a line, please?
Line.
They ask for a headshot. You know when you hand them the headshot and they don't even look at it. Be like, okay.
All right. We're gonna put you at the front. All right, well, this is human number 2 signing off. John Lehr signing off.
And this is human number 1. Thanks for listening, everybody. And Kelly, thank you again for sending in such a great question. There is a friendship bracelet on its way.
Like this.
Like
this
that.
one.
We got one for you. And anyway, just thank you for listening. And everybody, it's almost Christmas, so if you're thinking of gifts, remember Watson & Company socks.
Yes, or Hanukkah. Get a pair for every night. Get one pair for every night.
Yeah, really
That's
good.
That's what I would do.
Puppies Not Piranhas on Etsy for the friendship bracelets. And also you have the Two Humans cave shoppy.
Cafe Express. And I'm Cafe Press. Sorry, I said Express. Cafe Press. And I have the link to Cafe Press, by the way, down there. Look at it. You'll see it, you guys.
Oh, it's like a game. It's a game.
It's fun. It's fun.
All right. We love you guys. Talk to you later. Keep your eyes on the road, you looky-loos. We'll see you. Love you guys. See ya. Bye.
Bye.